Hey everybody, it's Joseph with Feathers Analytics. Today, I'm going to be looking at some issues you can run into with a file path within an R script that you're using as a data source within a Power BI report. This is going to be the first video in a series that I'm going to be going over some of the issues that you can face when you're using R and trying to integrate that into your Power BI report, whether that be as a data source within the Power Query Editor with some transformation steps, or as a visual in the report itself. The example files that I'm going to be using today for this video come from my session, Predictive Analytics with R in Power BI. You can find more information about that session on my website, feathersanalytics.com. But let's jump into it and let's get started. Let's start by accessing all the source files from the presentation. So I've gone to feathersanalytics.com, my website. Under the presentations tab here, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and go to Predictive Analytics with R in Power BI. And when I go into this post, we're going to see that we have access to the slide deck and all the example files from my session are available here. So I've already downloaded these files, and if I bring up the File Explorer, it looks a little bit like this. And we can see that we have not a PBIX file, but a PBIT. So that's a Power BI template file. And so I'm just going to open this up here. And once this is opened up, we are prompted to enter in a file path. Power BI template files don't have any data in them, so we have the visuals have all been created, the data model schema has all been created, but at this point what we need to do is define where the data for this file actually is. So if I go back into our file of folders, this is all covered in this instructions, please read file, but essentially it's this Excel source data that we want to connect to, and we just need the file location for that. So if I just click and copy this address here, it's just in my desktop, and go back in, I can paste that in. I don't actually need the R in Power BI part, just the desktop, and I'm going to hit load. The first error that can happen when we're using an R script as a data source in our Power BI report is we can't connect to it and it can't execute properly. So here we can see once I've entered in that parameter, we're getting some errors, no data can load. So I'm just going to hit close for that. And after I hit close, although no data is going to be able to come into the report, I'm just going to hit enable my R visuals there. No data is going to be able to come into the report, but all the visuals are going to show up as blank because we have no data. If we look in, let's go to the data view. We have no data in any of our tables. These are just essentially placeholders that we need to fill in with all the data that we need. So I'm going to go to the Power Query Editor, and then let's start to see where the errors are. So this game day game stats rather query loads, model data which connects to an R script. We can see the R execute command here. This doesn't work, but this R stats query does work. So the error is in this one. So to solve this first error, one thing to look out for is if we go back into this file path parameter, which is defining where our source data is. If we go back into here, it's a little bit of a simple fix. All of these currently are backslashes, and we need to replace them with forward slashes, just like this. So I'm just going in to the file string and replacing all like that. And as soon as I commit that change and go back into model data query, it now executes properly. What this R script is doing is executing the R script that's found in the models folder of the File Explorer, and it's executing the one k-means clustering.r file. So if I go in here, go into models, it's executing this file. It's kind of funny, so we just have to ensure that all of the slashes in the file name are forward slashes instead of backslashes. And the annoying thing is by default, when we do just go into the File Explorer, they are backslashes when we just want to copy and paste this string, so this file location. So what we can do to fix this is I can just reference this parameter. I can convert this into a table, and then using the Power Query functionality, I can just right click, replace values, and all I want to do is replace backslashes with forward slashes like that. Just hit OK, right click, drill down, and we can call this file path clean, like that, hit OK. And then in our model data query, if we go back to the source step, instead of file path, we can now update this to reference file path underscore clean, like that. Nothing changes, the data is exactly the same. But now if we do paste our old file path in with the backslashes instead of the forward slashes and hit OK. So this still flows through to our other queries and it still works. But now when we look at the source, since we're referencing file path clean and we go back in here, this still has the forward slashes, although our original data source parameter has backslashes. So that's how we can solve for one error executing R scripts within Power BI.